Welcome to Desai Academy. So, of class 9th, first chapter, matter in our surroundings. Okay, next topic is states of matter. Okay, we can observe different types of matter around. Okay, we can see the different types of matter around us. What are different types of states we can observe? There are three types of states we can observe, or we can observe around our surrounding. One is what a solid state, one is a liquid state, and gas. Solid for what a stone, table, chairs. Liquid like water, these are called as the liquid. Like gas, gases like nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Okay, these are called as what gases only. Example, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, these are called as what gases. And solids are called as stone, wood, these are called as the examples of solids. And examples of liquids are called water, H2O. This means chemical formula of water is what H2O. And coal, sorry, not coal, coal is also solid form. Petrol, diesel, these are called as what liquid forms. These are the what states of matter we are observing in our day-to-day life. What is a solid, liquid, and gases? We can see that matter around us exists in three different states, so that is solid, liquid, and gases. These states of matter arises due to the variation in the characteristics of particles of matter. Why we are observing three states of matter means due to the different characteristics of a particle of a matter. Okay, so solid having different characteristics, and a liquid also having different characteristics, and gases also having a different characteristics of particles. So every particles in the state of gas, state of liquid, and a state of solid are completely different from one another. So due to this reason only we are observing different types of states of matter. So each particles having different characteristics, that will makes the states of a matter. This is the reason why we are observing different types of matters. Now let us study about the properties of three states of matter. So one by one you have to we have to study what properties of solid, properties of liquid, and properties of gases. Okay, now we'll study about each properties of states of matter. First we'll study about the solid state. After that we'll study the properties of liquid. Before to study the properties of solid state, first we will consider about this activity 1.9. Collect the following articles like pen, book, needle, and piece of wooden stick. Okay, how to collect all these of articles that are very easily available in our surroundings. What we have to take a pen, book, needle, piece of wooden sticks. Okay, we have to take it and try to make a diagram of these all in your notebooks by using your pencils. Sketch the shape of the above articles in your notebook by moving a pencil around them. Okay, how to make the all the diagrams of this pen, notebook, needle, and a piece of wooden stick. So after drawing, you can observe from the your sketches, do all these have definite shape and having distinct boundaries and a fixed volume? And what happens if they are hammered or pulled or dropped, whether it is breakable or not breakable, or it changes any shape, and also capable of diffusing into each other. So next, again they are compressible, they are compressible, they are compressor, they are compressible or not, that you have to observe from this activity, right? From this activity what we conclude here, all the above examples of solids, okay, pen, book, and piece of wooden sticks, these are examples of what solids. And from this activity, what we can conclude here, we can observe that all these have what a definite shape. Okay, from this activity we conclude that first point, all having a definite shape, book having the definite shape, and pencil is having definite shapes, and every material that is a form of solid, that have always a definite shapes. Book, pencil, and needles, stick, everything that is a solid that always have a definite shape, and that's also having a definite boundaries, they are definite boundaries, and again they having fixed volumes, that is have negligible compressibility. So what are the properties of solid here? So solids always what a definite shape, correct? So here solid is always having a definite shape. First is what a definite shape, second one the definite boundaries, they having definite boundaries, they having definite shape, definite boundaries, and volume, they having a definite volume or a fixed volume, and they having low compressibility. So we cannot compress the solid particle very easily. So when we try to compress a iron rod, we cannot do it, and we cannot compress a book, we cannot we are applying a force, means that time also we cannot compress the solid particles. So because of they having a negligible compressibility. Solids have tendency to maintain their shape when subjected outside of force. Why they are having a negligible compressibility means, whenever we applying a force on the solid externally, so they will not changes its shape, because they will resist that force. Resist means what? They will opposes the force on which we are applying to compress it. So they never compressible, means they are negligible compressibility. So solid may break under force, but it is a difficulty to change their shape, so they get rigid. So they are called rigid. We can change, we cannot, it is very difficult to change their shape, but we can break the solid particles. So for example, take a chalk piece, and we can break easily, we can break easily while applying the force, and we cannot change their shape very easily. Instead of, we can break the solid particles very easily. So that is why they are called as rigid in nature. Okay, remember that. What are the properties of a solid? They are definite shape, correct? They are definite shape. Second one, the distinct boundaries, they having distinct boundaries. Third one, the having fixed volume. Next, negligible compressibility, they are rigid in nature. Okay, these are the properties of what? Solid particles, or a solid state. Okay, you are in exam, they will ask write the properties of solid, means you can write they having definite shape, distinct boundaries, fixed volume, negligible compressibility, and they having rigid in nature. These are the properties of solids. Okay, some examples are given here, whether you have to say whether it is a solid or a other than that, they having liquid or gas, you have to study here. So consider the following situations. What about a rubber band? Can it change its shape on stretching as it is a solid? Okay, when we stretch the rubber band, it will changing its shape. Well, according to these properties, the solid does not changing its shape, but when a rubber band is stretched, it's changing its shape. Still, it is a solid. We can call. Question arises here. What about the sugar and salt? When they kept in different jars, these take the shape of a jar. Are they solid? Again, when we are keeping sugars and salt in a different types of jars, in a conical, in a rectangular, in a circle. Okay, different types of jars are there. So in that we are keeping in that conical flask, round, circle, rectangular, okay, square. Variety of shapes of food items is there. In that we can put the sugar and salt, they will take that shape. So means that also we can, that time also we can call sugar and salt as a solid. Question arises here. Next, what about the sponge? Is a solid, yet ever able to compress it? Again, sponge easily compressible. Sponge is easily compressible, but according to the statement or according to the property of solid, every solid is having a negligible compressibility, but the sponge is also solid, means why it is compressing. These are some questions arised by these three activities or three situations. So for that answer is so why all the aboves are what a solid only. The rubber band is also solid, and the sugar and salt also is solid, and a sponge is also solid. Then what is the reason why they are stretching, the rubber is stretching, and why their solids, the sugar and salts are solid, means why they are taking different shapes when it is kept in a different containers, and why sponge is compressing. So for that reason is that a rubber band changes shape under a force and regains the same place, same shape when the force is removed. Correct, already you know that. So when we are applying the force on a rubber, so it will change its shape. After we remove that force, means again it will comes to its original position, so that excessive force is applied, and it will also breaks. So if you are applying a force on a rubber band, the rubber band changes its shape, and also if you release it, that force, means again we will come back to the original shape. If excess amount of force is applied on that rubber, and the rubber band will be breakdown. So this is the reason we can call this also a solid. Next will comes here sugar and salt. When we kept a sugar and salt in a different jars, they will take the shape of that container. So in that they only take the shape of the container, but they does not change their volume, so only changing their shape. So they are called as what a solid. The shape of each individual sugar or salt crystals remain fixed. Okay, the the crystals, like they're having crystal means small shapes. Okay, when we see the sugar or a salt, they're having small structure that called as a crystal. Like this they having a structure, so these structures are remains same where you have to kept in that, but they the remains same in an entire container. Which type of you have to take it, whether circular, conical, rectangular, square, in that they will insert it, but they are not changing their shape. Actually the shape of a sugar and salt remains as it is, whether you kept in a your hand, or kept in a plate, or kept in any type of container. The shape of the sugar and salt never changes, so that is why it is called as what, these are solids. So next sponge. Why we are able to compressing the like sponge, means the sponge having minute holes in it. The sponge having what, minute holes in it, so in which air is trapped. When we press it, the air is expelled out, and we are able to compress it. Why sponge is why sponge is compressible, means the sponge having small minute holes in that. Well, in that holes air is expelled, where air is trapped. When we compress it, the air will go to the outside. Expelled means what, here they will come outside of the sponge. So due to the air coming outside of the sponge, so they can be what, compressibly easily. So this is also solid. Why it is compressing, means the sponge is having a small minute holes, in which a sponge has a minute holes in which air is trapped in the sponge. They having small holes in it, in the air is trapped, air is here trapping. And when we compress it, it will expel the air. Expel means it will comes outside, air will comes outside. Due to that only they will compress. So this is the reason we can compress the sponge. So the sponge is also called as what, solid. These are the some important examples of states of matter, that is the solid state. Rubber is also solid state. Rubber is also solid, and sugar and salt are also solid state, and sponge is also solid state. Okay, so next will comes the liquid states. Okay, and we will discuss in the next class about liquid state. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share with your friends.